What I have here is my homemade tensioning jig. It's nothing special. There's not really much adjustment to it. Typically I leave 3/4 of an inch from this space to the blade. So I really didn't do anything from the last time I set it up. It's just a piece of particle board with a runner on the bottom and a 45-degree triangle with a handle back here for me to safely hold or push it through. Like I said, it's nothing special, but it gets the job done. I have to cut out 3/4 of an inch down, 1.5 inches over, and then cut back down here. I'm going to cut this out with the tensioning jig as opposed to just dadoing this out because I want to reuse this piece of wood right here. I'm going to be using this cutoff as a spacer in between the slats when I put them in. So from here, I'm just going to run all 11 slats, both sides. It's going to be 22 cuts. It's going to be real close to my ceiling, but it'll still work and it'll get the job done. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. And this is how they're going to fit on the rail. You can see that there is a rabbet that they're just going to sit in the rail. The 2x4 slat will offer a lot more strength than, say, a 1x or a 4/4 slat. So this will work great. And like I said, these little cutoff spacing that we're going to use, we've saved, we're actually going to put them in between the slat, spacer, slat as we start to assemble these. But this is the first one that I cut. It's just a test piece. It works out great. That's 1 down, 10 to go. Got all the slats cut and I'm ready to put them in. Now on all my beds I like to work from the center out. That way at the end, whatever space is left over, it's symmetrical down there and up there. So what I've done is I measured and found the center line, measured over what should be 38.5 inches if you're following along with these plans. And it should be 1 3/4, 1 3/4, which equals the width of 3.5, which is a 2x4. And I've done this on both sides, so now I can just slide my 2x4 slat in place, like so. And I've already pre-drilled for 2 1.25 inch drywall screws, and that's what I'm going to use to secure the middle one only. The rest of these are going to be floating, but as soon as I get this done, we can start gluing and nailing in the spacer blocks. Alright, if everything went well and according to plan, you should have about 20 or so of these little cutoffs that we used from the tensioning jig. It's going to take 5 per side of this. So it's going to take 20 of these, if that made any sense. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to take a little bit of glue, nothing fancy, set it in place, and just use a couple brads to hold it in place while the glue sets. And I'm going to do that on both sides. One spacer block, 2 brad nails, and then you can put the slat in place. And repeat the process. I'm going to work my way this way. frame with all the slats completed. The cutoffs obviously are spacers, and everything is all nice and spaced out evenly. Now these are kind of snug fit, so it's good to label each piece. Not necessarily necessary, as they are all supposed to be 3.5 inches wide standard 2x4, but you know, just during assembly, I know these fit, so why not go ahead and mark them all where you'll never see them. That way, when they go to install, you know that, hey, these did fit right here. So I labeled all these where you'll never see them all the way down, and for the most part, that's done for the frame. This is going to go together pretty quick. I'm going to build this little railing that goes off right here on the side to stop someone from falling off. I'm going to do that last, just because I'm going to be using scraps to build that, so I want to make sure I use the correct scraps to cut it once the rest of the project is done. I've got the frame stood up back into the hallway so I can get more clearance out here, and I'm going to start cutting for the footboard. I've got to make them 77.5 inches tall, so I'm going to cut it out of a 2x10 and then rip it down into a 2x6 and a 2x4, and pocket hole screw the 2x4 into the 2x6. So this one board right here is going to become an L shape pretty soon. With both leg pieces cut to 77.5, I can prepare them for ripping them down and pocket hole screwing them together. I've got to mark this one out, but I've already took the time to mark this one to show you that I'm going to rip it down right here at 3.5, and then I've marked at the bottom where I want 2 pocket hole screws, and then using my plan I'm going to go up 12 inches where the first ladder rung is, 24, 36, and 48, and the purpose of that is that way we're going to rip it this way and then flip this board on top and then screw it into this one. And right here at the 12 mark, once it's ripped and I stand it in place, screw it down, then I'm going to have 2 pocket hole screws right there, and those are going to be hidden by the ladder rung going this way. So we're attaching the L shape in a spot that's going to be covered up by the ladder rung, so these pocket hole screws will never be shown. I went ahead and marked this one out all the way down, and the purpose being to mark it first is that way I can cut it, drill the holes real quick, screw it together. Once you cut down a large piece of lumber like this, it's going to want to move. The more time you have to let it move, the more it's going to move. So my objective is to cut it, drill it, screw it, and secure it as fast as I can. Not as fast as I can, but you know, in a quick, timely manner to minimize wood movement. I'm going to glue it and pocket hole screw it with 2.5 inch pocket hole screws at every junction as shown. We're also going at 60 inches. That's where the bottom of the bed frame is going to be, and then 77.5 is our total height down 3.5 inches. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on bottom locations of 2 pocket hole screws each, plus gluing the entire joint. So this is going to be a nice sturdy L shape. Also, when marking, this L is going to be on the left hand side, this L is going to be on the right hand side, so they need to be opposite of one another. I've started from the right hand side and marked that way, this being 0. Now I need to take the next piece and start from the left hand side and marking on the same side, but moving left to right, and that side being 0. So that way I don't have 2 pieces that are identical. I need them to be exact opposites.